Welcome to Actually Controller, the podcast that is actually Controller, and we are actually in control of everything you are hearing right now. I'm so very sorry. This stuff could be so much more.
You just did the clap. You're not supposed to. What?
Yes.
Welcome to Actually Controller. You got Steve.
You got Chad.
Chris.
This is Jeff.
I don't think we've ever started an episode without the giggles right at the beginning.
This time there's a hair of context to the giggles, though, at least post-clap.
Well, you clapped, man.
I know I did.
You weren't supposed to. It's silence. Silence.
You did not give that to me on the last edit. My God, I could barely get the cut between the clap and your welcome to Absolutely Control.
He was doing his best Bob Barker.
And then getting the title
good.
wrong,
I got the
too.
title completely wrong.
Absolutely Controller.
Absolutely. Actually.
Here's the thing.
Fantastic. All right, so today's episode.
No, hold on. You get that up. Let's pull it out and show.
Yeah, so for the Patreon members.
Let's pull it out, Big Daddy.
Yeah.
So for the Patreon members, and this should be an encouragement, there's many things we show off.
No, it's not.
Yeah, there's many things we show off that are only going to be seen on the video version only of the episodes.
We will not even describe it. You
Nope.
have to watch.
But there is a really cool thing that Chad is holding up right now that...
Tour memento.
Yeah, it's a tour memento that I ended up getting one made for each one of the band members, kind of as a keepsake of commemorating the tour.
We did a thing.
Yep.
Hey, look at the
Shut up. It has the G, okay?
And he got the 23rd on there. That's nice.
Nice.
It has the G spot, okay?
Yeah.
G.
Oh, and it's got all of it. It's got all of our endorsement stuff, and
You're giving away too much.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah. You're allowed to look, just don't tell them. Speaking of which, kind of at the top, we have not actually talked about for a while. If you are listening to the audio-only version on Spotify, Apple, any of the regular ones, you'll probably notice a lot of older episodes do drop off. If you are interested in checking out the old episodes, you can go over to Patreon, subscribe, and you'll get access to all 39.
yeah, this one be the 39.
Oh, I lost track.
Yeah, 39 episodes, because I believe this is the 39th episode. So, yeah, you will have access to 39, 40 episodes, whatever, by the time. Yeah.
Thank you if you listened.
Yes. And if you are looking for just the audio-only version, you can go over to our YouTube channel. Just go to linktree.com/controller33. You'll get to all of our links, including YouTube that way. And
buy all our stuff. We have new merch coming.
Yeah, we actually have new merch that's actually already on our online store.
I thought it was still upcoming.
No.
We have new merch on there.
Yep.
Buy it all.
Yes, it would be greatly appreciated.
Buy the merch.
You also can go ahead on Facebook and look up Actually Controller, and the entire podcast will pop up with the entire catalog, because I have put every episode into a playlist.
Do not look up Absolutely Controller.
No, it's not going to help.
Because that's not going to make you find it.
It might bring something up, but not what we're wanting you to
On
look
with
at.
the podcast, Actually Controller.
Actually Controller.
You know, and if you're having trouble finding the podcast or finding our Patreon, you can go to our link tree.
Yes.
At Controller33.
But
Yes.
if they're still looking for the podcast, how are they going to hear this?
Well, if they're looking for the Patreon.
Oh, okay. My
Yep.
bad. I'm okay. My bad.
I see where you're at. It's like,
Yeah.
If I,
Yeah, if they're looking for the Patreon,
No,
or
if you're looking for the Patreon and you can't find it, it's not coming up in searches because I've had issues with
that's
that.
why they call it a link tree.
Yes,
Yep.
we have a link tree that you can go to that will take you directly to the Patreon.
Yep,
That was my bad. I nearly derailed that.
Yeah, and if you happen to be on Facebook and you are wanting to know all of our other links, not only Patreon, literally every link of every bit of our social media is there.
The link.
It's on the link tree.
Yep, including when we do have upcoming shows that we have ticket sales for, we try to actually put the ticket link for the upcoming shows, if possible, actually on the link tree as well. So,
which the link tree will also take you to the online merch store we just mentioned.
It will. So,
buy all the stuff.
What we were planning to talk about today, though, was the recording in preparation for next year's tour.
tour.
What? Are we going to talk about a tour again?
No, that's next
but
year. Don't
there's a
worry.
recording that we're putting out that we're going to be planning to support next year when we're going on a run. But this recording's a little bit different than pretty much any other recording we've ever done. We took 3 songs from our Watch It Burn album and we kind of reimagined a lot of components of them, because it's not that we want that album to never exist. There's just a lot of ways we wish that album didn't exist the way it does.
It's a real sweet way of being like, yeah, we weren't real happy with what we did there.
I mean, I'm sure there's musicians out there everywhere that are like, I released this crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've literally only ever done that.
You do learn some of the songs are endearing, and then you grow as an artist, and you're like, you know what? I got some new tricks to put on this thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, it was just there was a lot going on in the background during the process of that album.
Yeah.
And
A lot of life-changing things
yeah,
happening.
and so everybody in the band was not firing on all cylinders. The band itself,
Change drummers?
not during that recording. We were
not
on
during.
the brink
Of changing.
we're getting ready to
Unknown
change.
and unbeknownst to us as well.
Yeah.
So
But regardless of that, we had a lot going on in the background for each person's individual life, along with the band. There was a whole different recording setup and different location that we were recording at. I mean, everything was upended.
yeah,
And
we worked with a different production.
Yep.
Which everything was awesome there. It was just
That
the
was the
level
one-off,
of
What now?
That was the one-off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just one off there.
I remember
The
that
level
from
of-
podcast 22 or whatever.
Yeah.
The level of dedication we had in going into recording Wash It Burn just wasn't there. Nobody could focus. So.
No, and then I think that's where we ended up. It's not that all of the songs we walked in there with were poorly written songs or that we were upset with the writing that we did. We just didn't put the best performance we
just
could
weren't
have.
invested
Yeah.
like we should have been.
And to be honest, a lot of us signed off on things that we should not have signed off on being
completely.
finished.
Mental fatigue is a real thing when it comes to recording. Like you
Yeah.
gotta be like, it's not just physical or like it's mental too.
I mean, it's
Very much so. And so we ended up getting some time separated from the album. There was a lot of frustration, I'll say, for each individual towards that album for many years, to where it was kind of hard to ever find any endearing qualities of it for
Well,
everybody for a long time.
You
and
also consider that in that same period of time, like the breakdown of even personnel, like, you know, well, Brandon having to take his leave and
Yep.
all that other stuff, and yeah, there was so much. It was hard to really put ourselves in the right headspace
Right,
to be like,
but-
yo, we're gonna create this thing.
that was all the way back in 2017 when we released that
Yep.
album.
Yep,
And that was actually a release show that Chris had one of his other bands on that actually, well, no, I wasn't going to talk about those components. I was going to say that actually helped him get a lot of access to other shows for his other band.
November 4th, 2017.
Yep. But yeah, that got the Kickbacks
Date.
There's an-
access to a lot of
Yeah.
shows
The
moving
owner-
on.
The owner was impressed with our sound. He really
Yep.
liked our sound, and he pulled us on a bunch of shows. Yeah,
Yep.
we became
So
the virtual house band.
yeah, so it's not that show had no positives attached to it or anything, but yeah, it was just one of those. We needed some years of removal from that album to go back and go, okay, that song actually wasn't a bad song. That
Right.
song actually had some good components.
They just needed to wait for me to finally open up my schedule. That's all.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yes,
"Hey,
Chris, you are the main character. I forgot.
So did you ever know that sometimes the diva frontman is behind a kid? But no, in all seriousness, though, it was one of those. There were certain songs, because of the turmoil going on in certain individuals' lives, that actually had a lot of personal meaning still attached to those songs.
Actually, 2 of the 3 that are going to be on the upcoming was very, very personal to
Yeah.
me.
And because of that, it was one of those, well, it's not that these weren't coming from a good place of intent for the writing and the motivation, and it's not that all of the riffs necessarily were bad. We were just signing off on takes we should have never signed off on. We were rushing like transitions that we should probably have taken more time to actually nurture, like, hey, do we really want to transition from that chorus into this next verse that way, and give it the time, and we just did not have that capability at that point. And so it was one of those, well, let's do something we've never done. Let's actually revisit some of our old material, actually give it the time that it probably should have gotten way back then, and especially now with Chris at the helm behind the kit.
Yeah.
It was going to be a chance for us to have fresh ears attached to this that weren't attached in a sentimental way whatsoever to these songs or reliving anything. So it was going to be coming from a spot of
more of a production.
Yeah, of an actual genuine, no, that's not a good part, that's a good part. No, that transition doesn't work, that transition does. Where we're going, but that's the way I did it back in the day, and I feel like I'm supposed to keep doing it that way.
It's like some of them we already knew. It's like, well, the breakdown was terrible, so that needs to be rewritten right away.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
there was a lot of slamming undesirable Lego pieces in to just make the whole thing stick together at times.
I mean,
it was actually happening like that because everybody was in a weird emotional state and nobody could get on board when the first recording happened. So yeah.
I mean, to give a little more context to the way that some of the writing happened for Watch It Burn, there were at least 3, if not 4 songs to where they were completely composed of me taking random recordings from our rehearsals of us just jamming with zero intent, and me completely and utterly hodgepodging pre-pro mixes together off of just different riffs going, that sounds kind of like a chorus, that kind of sounds like a verse, and I built songs completely separated from the band of just things we did in the rehearsal space and go, all right, we still need another song. We worked these riffs before. These technically are in the same key and in the same tuning. So here's another song.
Not to mention, we were running on a pretty dry inspirational well.
Yeah, it was really hard to get behind anything that, well, even like you were saying, the way there was no direct attachment emotionally to anything that was happening, so it was hard to focus on,
with the exception of those few songs that we're revisiting now.
It was hard to focus and care about whether it sounded as good as it should because there was no attachment. So but to give that's kind of given some context to the origin of these tracks. However, if you've been out to any of the recent shows, 2 of the 3 songs we're redoing, we have performed live.
Yes.
So you've gotten a little bit of a taste of where these are going. Now,
we're not going to do that anymore. You're going to have to wait till next year.
Actually, that is the truth. We gave a little bit of a preview surrounding the Echoes of Tomorrow tour. We put those into the tour set list, but
if you show up to our newer shows, you might get a taste of something. Probably not.
Probably
Don't
not.
hold your breath.
Probably not. But
we'll let you know. But show up, and you might.
Mm-hmm.
Just show up.
Yeah. One thing
I just was trying to entice. You might get more.
One thing we are doing that was not from old material is we are having a new intro written for this EP, actually. So there will be brand spanking new material still attached to this EP, not only just rewrites. So for anybody who is interested, listen at your own, demise. If you would like,
no, thanks. I appreciate that.
No. If you would like, not for the intro.
Oh, okay.
If you would like to hear
listen to what he writes, and it's not our fault. He's the one that.
So I can see where you got that. That's not where I was going.
I was just letting everybody.
Where I was going was listen at your own demise if you want to hear where the reference recording is at, and actually listen to these 3 songs from the Watch It Burn album.
So bookmark and tab
demise.
Yeah.
Hear how the sound has changed. That's something definitely.
And so the 3 songs that we are redoing from Watch It Burn are Believe, Suffocate, and Undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
The the two songs that are extra personal were Believe and Suffocate.
Yes.
The reason Undefeated got pulled in was actually a lot to do with me. That was one of those songs that I always felt like live had a lot of potential, and it never, in the recording and the writing, ever fully got over the finish line that I felt like it could have actually done it. This is the one where you were yelling at me with the outro because it's a full halftime dropout on it.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Good. Hives.
Yeah.
I have
So good.
I have put that so far back here. So far back here.
So that's a stranger danger memory, apparently.
That almost caused PTSD. I do remember. I remember enough to know that I did not.
He was mad.
Were you seething?
He was legitimately seething. There was smoke rolling out his ears.
I'm not a sludge breakdown drummer, and that frustrated me for one thing.
Yeah.
Because you kept swearing that it's different BPM. I'm like, nope.
I'm like, why are we playing this at 47 beats? No, I'm just
Yeah. But
so deliberate.
But yeah, it's a
I think it
deliberate.
came out pretty good though.
Yeah, it's a
Thank you,
deliberate
Molly.
slowdown. It's something that the band had not tried prior and has not tried since, and I think that was my big draw to. That's something that's different in our catalog that I don't feel like it ever got. That's just
I think
opportunity
for me. That one actually pushed. I don't want to say my abilities, but when you craft things in your brain, but trying to physically do it. I'm
Yes.
like, I know what I want.
The focus
now, how
gets thrown off.
How do
Yeah.
I get this out? And I think it all pieced together in the studio. For
No,
for
and
that song.
I fully understand
'Cause I was
because when
stressed.
I was recording the guitar for Suffocate,
I wasn't there for that.
the new breakdown that we wrote for Suffocate, for some reason, I had it in my head, nope, this one section, I have to do it in a 30-second note tremolo. I pulled it off, but man, that
one
took
time.
that
One time.
that took some takes to get to it, and I'm like, okay, I got it. It's flawless. It's clean. I can never play it that flawless to the click ever again. Add a 30-second note.
Oh, you can do it.
Do you think that we'll ever have to profess the music that we actually played? This was also not written by AI.
No. Nope.
I'm just saying. I just thinking.
But yeah,
for the
I mean,
future.
I fully feel you of you're in your head going, no, that is what I need to do for this. This is the part that needs to be written. Can I perform it
I do
the way that I
was-
got it in my head?
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I know we're talking forward, but going backwards, that was the ending for "Show Me the Way."
Yeah.
Mhm.
When I started putting that together, I'm like, this has to be full on, because I can feel in Jeff's vocals his anger, his angst, and just train freight load this right down
Yep.
someone's throat and finish it off.
And we've already ran it live enough times to know
It's my
that that's
favorite.
exactly
It's my
how
favorite ending.
it
Yeah.
translates live too.
Aw.
So
Yeah, that's why I go back and again listening to your vocals. I go back and forth the snare and the kick, snare, and then simultaneously because it builds, and then at the very end, I'm just doing the running 16ths, and the snare starts cracking, and then everything's just
yeah,
chaos.
It's
Yeah.
really fun. I like it.
yeah, it was the most random because you and I worked on the entire body
Yeah.
of the song up
Yeah.
to the outro
Yeah.
together, and then you left, and I was like, it's still too short. It needs more to it. We're at 2 minutes long. It needs
Yeah.
more to it. And I was like, so we need an outro. Let's not do the traditional breakdown back into a chorus type thing. Let's just have a big outro.
And if you hated the holdouts in that song, I made him do that.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't think, and I'm like, no, just trust.
Da 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 da.
Yeah.
Especially when we have a click. When we don't have a click, then
Yeah.
it scares me playing it with you guys.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
But
Syncopation is fun.
it is. But those were the three songs that just it meant something to more of us than not to try to give these the best light they possibly could because we know they
So do we
didn't.
want to talk about the songs individually then? I mean, you were
Yeah,
already
we
touching
can.
on it.
I'm gonna kind of let since
You
two.
might-
I
you
already
have to-
talked
you
about
have to-
Undefeated and Undefeated about kind of the backstory on that one.
About believe.
You might have to refresh my memory.
Oh yeah, so
So there's this thing when you're a drummer.
all of them blend together.
It's a known thing. Actually, I watched a drummer Friday night. He leans forward. How's it start?
Never experienced that with you before.
We don't memorize song titles.
No.
So when you call out a song title, we might stare at you blankly.
You know,
it's a
blink, blink,
and
blink,
two,
blink.
like memorizing the very first couple milliseconds of a song. Once we get past that, muscle memory takes hold.
What generally happens is you'll start playing and working on a song. It'll get a name, but that's not the name that it's going to be known by. So somebody's going to say, hey, we're going to play, like Life Unfurled. Like, let's say it had like a real bit, but we all called it like Skinny Puppies.
So I will say this: we used to be really bad about giving the most ridiculous working title names to songs.
The names were great.
They were, but
we would remember what we played because we like. Oh,
but
yeah.
I
the problem,
Steve's song, Bob's song.
Yeah, but we got a lot. We pulled away from that because it got so challenging to actually revert over to the proper title once there was a real name.
Jupiter Tentacle Monster, bro. That's Jupiter Tentacle Monster.
It's like our old song, My Backbone was when we our working title when we first was writing, it was Ball Kicker.
Ball Kicker.
Yeah.
So that one was called Ball Kicker. The Way of Honor was called Bacon Milkshake.
Bacon Milkshake.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Bacon Milkshake.
It's a milkshake.
All right, quick little sample so I can...
So you know that one?
Yeah, that's all you got to do. All right, let's talk about that one.
Okay.
Let's talk about that one.
Let's talk about that.
This one was really fun on the starting of the writing because at the time we were struggling for a practice space. And
so
what's the song title?
This is Believe.
So, real quick, are we wanting to, just to give context, are we wanting to more talk about the rewritten version, or we want to talk about...
you guys talk.
Start from the beginning. This is the
you want me to talk about this is an origin. So
here we go.
Open conversation.
I think how this song came to be at the start, before lyrical content came in, that really grabbed my attention. But we were struggling for practice space because we were doing in storage unit rehearsals.
Where were we at?
We did Skeletons.
I think the storage unit was after the skeleton stuff.
Was it?
Yeah, we were at Brandon's place.
Yeah, Brandon.
We lost it.
Oh, that's right. We lost Brandon's place.
We lost Brandon's place because of the neighbor.
All right, yeah. So I was wrong. We used to rehearse at the drummer's house, so he didn't have to move his set around everywhere. But his neighbor started complaining, so we had to get out of there. So we lost practice space, and Jeffrey ran sound at the bar Skeletons.
Yeah.
And the owner was really nice to let us come in for a couple hours on a Sunday, and we did it only like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But we go in there for rehearsal, and I just started playing the intro bass riff to this song. And everybody's like, what's that? I was like, I don't know, man. It just came to me right here, and we flew with it, and I loved it.
And then for the chorus riff, I think it was I came home that night because we had really fleshed out a lot of what we wanted to do with that riff. Yeah, we didn't know where to go with it yet.
Yeah, we did that riff, and it was like that riff alone there. And then like Steve comes home, he works on some things, and he's like, hey, I think I got a chorus for it.
Yep.
So I'm like, cool. And we end up working it all out. But my big attachment is when the vocals finally hit. Because there was a lot of turmoil in my first marriage during this time.
Yes.
And the idea of we have to believe we can coexist, we got to believe in each other, and just like it was a struggle.
You and Bob had a lot of actual just direct conversations outside of the band when it came to the lyrical ideas.
Yeah.
Because he knew all of us knew what was going on, to what magnitude. You were being still pretty hush-hush.
Oh, I was still very hush-hush on this.
So we're driving back.
Yeah, we were playing in Chicago.
I will never forget. Everybody else is like crashed. I'm just chilling up front, enjoying the ride.
Back when we still had the bus.
Yeah, and he's driving, and I'm sitting like in the stairs of the bus, just hanging out with Chad because he's my homie. And he drops it on me, and I'm like, what?
Well, that's because you were like, oh, I'm single now, and I am too.
Yeah, and that's what.
Yeah, that's how he announced that he's getting a divorce after being 18 years,
19 years together.
Years like that. I was just dumbfounded. So.
Yeah, you like that?
Boom.
I was trying to figure out if it was actually full hoop and like it pushed in or not.
There's a Patreon moment of
so
he's scoping my new jewelry.
Here's a fun, interesting tidbit for the part that I wrote in was that when we were driving back, if you remember, there was not snow, but it was like dusty, gross.
Dude, it was like an icy sleet starting to come in because we decided, let's take a show in Chicago in December.
Right. So like all the notes that I picked for this song had to feel like I was coming through a blizzard because that's what it felt like. The attentive, the action of making it through to this song was like finding your way through a blizzard for me. So
with the rewrite though, to give a little bit of context, so we still liked for the most part the riff of the chorus.
Oh yeah,
and the bass riff for the verse was the actual heart of the song. So we were trying to be very delicate with all three of these songs. What's the lifeblood of the track? What can be touched? What can't be touched?
And the reason why this one got picked is I absolutely love the feel and the message of it because it can be taken in not only the way that I experienced it during the original writing.
Right. Definitely.
But the interpretation of this song can mean so much more to so many more people.
Bob's not here, so I'm going to go ahead and give him a little bit of an accolade here so that he doesn't increase the size of his head. But, man, he did a really good job on the vocals on this one. That particular song is one of my favorites because of the things he says.
What were some of the things that are updated now that you guys like much better?
We had adjusted some of the timing.
I completely rewrote my entire part for the verse riffs.
Yeah, he actually play because before he was more atmospheric and he didn't have like a full blown riff really.
Well, no, I'm still atmospheric in that respect. It's I was just letting pretty much two notes actually swell though, and where I went with it now is I'm kind of adding where the transitional earmark, the new one, if you will, is at with where my actual positionings are at. But I'm still trying to create that atmosphere. At the same time, I didn't want it to... The very first iteration of Believe, there's actually a video on our YouTube channel that was the demo cut before we even got to recording it that has a completely different verse riff I was really active. Yeah. Like way all over the place with...
That we recorded over at Corrosics. Right?
No, that we recorded at Skeletoons.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that we recorded at Skeletoons. So that ended up being like scrapped before we even got to actually recording the album. But we did that. We did a lot more work with the structure than pretty much anything else.
Yeah, we cut the chorus down for
the first chorus. Cut that in half.
The ending was.
Yeah, we changed up the ending.
We had the aha moment with the vocals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally the aha moment.
We have an aha moment.
The whole outro got completely scrapped and rewritten. Because
I like the one.
And actually, credit where credit's due, the outro is the way that it is because the four of us were already sitting there, be it Chad, me, Jeff, and Bob. And thank you for listening to Actually Controller. If you liked what you heard, please consider following us on all our socials. You can easily find us on all the different platforms by going to linktree/controller33 or scan the QR code if you are watching the video version of this episode. Thank you.